I wanted to film this meeting chat to talk about some of the things I didn't know before applying to business school. So feel free to just have this on in the background, do a craft with me, or just watch and listen. These are some of the things that I wish I had known before applying. I don't think it would have changed my application necessarily, but it would have probably changed my application strategy. So I wanted to cover finances and financial aid in the first half of this video, and then maybe more of the culture and what to do the summer before in the latter half of the video. So first, let's talk about the cost of attendance. I'll throw a graph up on the screen that has some of the most popular MBA programs and their cost of attendance. It only takes into account tuition and housing, just to keep it simple. And the housing price is an average cost of a studio in the school's city. So I didn't really factor in if it was close to campus or not, so you'd have to take into consider transportation. So you can observe that going to school in New York City is much more expensive than going to a school in Texas. And this checks out because New York City's cost of living is much, much higher than cities in Texas. But something that I did not know was that some schools subsidize their housing prices. For example, I've heard that Stanford GSB does this for their students, so their students enjoy subsidized housing. So that would bring down the cost of attendance a lot. Whereas for HBS, the on-campus housing options are very similarly priced to the off-campus housing options. So had I known this, I might have applied to GSB just so I could live in the Bay Area at a subsidized rate. Another thing I wanted to mention is that the cost of the MBA has gone up over the past 10 years. I'll put a graph on the screen that just illustrates HBS's tuition and housing price increases over the past 10 years. So you can see that the tuition increased from $67K to $76K, which is a $9K difference, which equates to 13% over the past 10 years. And the housing prices, those fluctuate with the market. So now that we've talked about tuition quite a bit, I wanted to talk about the sticker price, which is the price that you see on these graphs, versus the actual price you might pay. So I didn't know that business schools gave financial aid differently. So HBS and GSB say admission is merit-based and financial aid is need-based. And pretty much every other school gives a merit-based or a combo of merit and need-based aid. So I wanted to start with talking about merit-based because it's a bit more simple. So basically, you think of your GRE or GMAT score plus your resume plus all the accolades that you have. And if it's more impressive than the other applicants, the school will try to entice you to come to their school by giving you a financial aid package. And these schools also use financial aid as a bargaining chip to try to win you over if you've gotten into multiple schools, and especially schools that didn't give you as much financial aid, such as HBS or GSB. And unsurprisingly, HBS and GSB don't care or compare aid given by other schools. They focus on need-based aid. So need-based aid is calculated based on a combination of things: how much undergraduate debt you have, how much income you had in the past 3 years, and what assets you own that are over $20,000. And if you're married, then also your spouse's last 3 years of income and future 2 years of income and all their assets. And assets are considered joint even if the income was earned or the assets were bought before the wedding day. So that's the real kicker. So given this information, had I known this many years ago, I probably would have tried applying to deferred programs, which are programs that you go to after only 2 years of working, or I would have applied after only 2 years of working, or I guess 1 year of working, because you have to apply with 1 year to go, which I don't know, doesn't really make that much sense. But the thinking behind that is that you'll have 33% less income, you're probably not married, and your undergraduate student debt is probably larger, and you may not have aged off your parents' health insurance yet. And these are all factors that would make you appear more needy, and they would give you more financial aid because of your financial situation. So another thing, health insurance. All students at HBS are automatically enrolled in the Harvard Student Health Insurance Plan, and I assume it's similar for other schools. The health insurance for each 9-month school year is $4,308. And that is a lot. Luckily, if you're married or you're on your parents' plan or you're part of the military and the government will pay for your insurance, then you can apply to waive this fee, and this is extremely helpful for lowering the cost of attendance. And just as a note, the graphs and the tuition don't include the health insurance fee. Great, so now some of the money information is out of the way. I just wanted to say that this summer before school starts is like being engaged to the business school. I think of it as like when you apply in the fall of the previous year, it's like you're making a dating app profile, and when you hit submit, you hope that the school will reply to your DM. And then late January/February, you hear back from them about if they want to go on a date. For HBS, they only invite 20% of applicants on a 30-minute date where they grill you. Then you write them a letter hoping to be accepted for who you are. Then in late March/April, you open your ring box, but inbox, and then there's hopefully this question plastered all over it with a confetti banner. Will you join me and put my name after yours plus the letters MBA forever? Heart emoji. Then hopefully you say yes to your dream, and then the next several months are wedding planning for one of the most significant changes in your life. You tell your family, and they either love your match or, they're quietly disappointed. You try to scrounge up the money to tie the knot. Maybe you buy a new wardrobe because Houston is hot and Boston is not, and you figure out new housing arrangements. It's a whole stressful debacle. So yes, I wish I knew that business school would turn my life upside down, but I also remember at the beginning of the process thinking, meh, I'll worry about it if I get accepted. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So yeah, here we are. And speaking of being married, I wish I knew that for the applications, they had a field for a maiden name or a previous name. I remember calling ETS, which is the GRE administrator, to get my name changed on my GRE report, and then also worrying that my undergrad transcript would have the wrong name. But there is a field for maiden name, and all those problems were fixed because of it. So, and hopefully that little bit of insight saves other women the stress and the time worrying too. I also didn't know that it's very common to have a spouse or partner in school. I was actually very pleasantly surprised that at HBS, 40% of the students are married, and there's more people in serious relationships. And I was very surprised to find that both HBS and Wharton, which were the only schools I applied to, were very welcoming to spouses. I learned that at HBS, my husband can come to class, he can join clubs, he can attend events, and generally be as involved as he wants to be, which is great because he's an extrovert and he will probably make more friends than I will. So I feel very lucky to have gotten into a school that prioritizes the spouse experience. I think that should have been higher on my research priorities list when I was applying to school. And if the summer before wasn't hectic enough, I learned about this thing called a pre-MBA internship. This never crossed my mind because, like I said in my previous video, I really enjoy my job. But had I known this, I may have tried harder to network and find an internship. But I don't regret what I'm doing now, which is spending time with my community and family, and generally taking a break before the first semester, which I hear is extremely stressful. And my last takeaway is that everyone is a normal person in the MBA program. I used to think that they were all super high-strung, high performers, which they are high performers, but people who are famous or on the brink of being famous, or people who are too rich to relate with. But after visiting the campus and meeting some of my future classmates, I learned that we all have the same kind of feelings, same kind of normal drama, and of course normal personalities. Like, they all fall on the normal curve. There will always be the tryhards, the people that you haven't been able to understand, introverts, and your best friends in class. And I'm really excited to go to Boston to meet all these people and learn from them. So this wraps up everything I wish I knew before I applied to business school. I'm sure there will be more things that I wish I knew in the future, but until then, let me know in the comments which one of these things was most surprising and most helpful, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye guys!